Hey everyone, I'm Matt, and welcome back to Toylytics, where we take a look at the analytical side of toy collecting. And Happy New Year to all of you, since it's early January 2025. Looking forward to bringing you another year of secondary market updates for figures for the Four Horsemen Studios lines, as well as a few other lines that I have up my sleeve I've been collecting data and analyzing data on, and I hope to post those in the near future as well. In this video, we're going to take a look at the secondary market update for fourth quarter 2024 for the Cosmic Legion's Hvalkatar Book 2 Gravenight Wave of Figures. A little bit of a refresher about what this wave is all about. They went up for sale April 2022, delivered about 18 months later in November 2023, so they've been available for about a year, a little over a year at this point. So looking at to the wrong tab there. Looking at the data itself here, you can see that overall these figures are still, in some demand, right? But maybe not necessarily that high a demand. So over the whole fourth quarter here, most of them sold somewhere around 9 to 13 copies. Unfortunately, Mbira is bringing up the rear here. I think most people that's not a surprise because she's probably most people's least favorite figure from this wave, only selling 5 over the fourth quarter. But in general, most of them are selling somewhere around that 9 to 13. Looking at it month by month, you can see that over the latter half of 2024, none of these figures sold more than 10 copies, even more than 8 copies per month, and most are somewhere in that, I would say, maybe 3 to 6 copy range there on a monthly basis. Looking at the average prices, the bar shows the average, the orange dot shows the maximum, and the blue dot shows the minimum. The Sligor Tusk Gravekeeper is coming in at the highest average price of 54.25. Canucks Vol close behind at 52.32. It's a brute scale. Then we have a couple of the standard figures here with Novian Lean, Ias Sapidion, and Mbira. Novian Lean is $44, so he's getting up there, sort of approaching the retail price of $50 for him. IS again, not too bad either, selling for 42, and Mbira selling for an average of $36.25. The weapons pack selling for an average of about $21 as well. So let's look at the prices as they go from quarter to quarter here and how those averages have changed. As you can see here that quarter three, just like we saw for the Hvalkatar Book 1 wave, that was kind of quarter three was kind of the lowest point there for the entire for the average prices, and a lot of them have bumped up from that low point, right? But again, even Sligor, right, he's now at his lowest point for the entire 2024 year as far as average price is concerned. At 54.25, he was selling for on average 60 and $70 in the first half of the year. Ias, he's bounced back up a little bit with his $42. Canucks Vol, again, off his lows as well. So is Mbira. She's off her lows. Novian Lean is off his lows as well, right? So kind of similar story here for most of these figures. And the weapons pack has been creeping up at the highest price in quarter four, highest average quarter price since quarter one for the weapons pack as well. So let's take a look at the individual figures here. We'll start with Ias and see what's been going on a day-by-day basis here. $50, that is our retail price. You can see that the last half of the year, none of them sold for higher than that retail price. A few sold for retail, though. But in general, most of the sales are somewhere around that, I'd say about $36 to $44 range. So if you see one for about $40 or so, that's probably a pretty good price. Again, a few, repackaged and used copies here are sold for significantly less. But in general, somewhere around that $40 or so, maybe. Although in November, he was selling on average for I'd say no less than 41.63. So again, if you see one for 40, that's probably not a bad price. You may end up having to pay a little bit more than 40 though, moving forward. Looking at Canucks Vol, his price, I just looked it up. His retail price is 65. Very, we had this one here. I think this may be an international sale, but in general, nowhere close to selling for that $65 range. I would say for the most part, we're looking at generally somewhere between about 45 and $60, and not even 60 in the latter part of the fourth quarter. I'd say generally between about 40, well, in this case, yeah, 40 to about 55 at most. here. So if you still want a Canex Vol, you could probably get one and look to pay somewhere less than $50 for one. Ambira, here again. So here's our $50, right? That looks like a super high value here compared to where we've been selling for recently. Most of the time recently, in fourth quarter, she was selling for generally like $35 to $42. So you could probably end up finding her for somewhere under 40. I'd say probably about 33 to $35 would be where I would shoot for if you're looking for an Ambira at this point. Novian Lean, we saw his average creeping back up a little bit. Here's the $50 retail price, and some are selling for 50. Some are selling closer to 52, some higher than 45 in a lot of cases as well, and not a whole lot, especially in fourth quarter, right? So here's an October one selling for 40, but very few sales at that sub $40 level. So if you're looking for Novian Lean and you see one for low 40s, I'd say that's probably pretty good as well as you're going to do at this point. And I think he may be the first one to get an average above his retail price. And then Sligor, again, talk about retail prices. His retail price is 70, and a few did sell earlier in the year for higher than 70. But for the most part, more recently, very few have sold even above 65. Most of them are, I would say, in this, $50 to $60 range. Although I guess it's very spread out, right? In this case, somebody sold it for 40. Here's a 50. Here's a 58, and here's a 66. So a lot of variability here in the prices for Sligor. If you see one for, again, nowhere close to that $70 price as far as retail is concerned, you should be able to get them for significantly less than that in the secondary market. I would shoot for sub 60. I'd say if you pay anywhere between $50 and $60, that's probably pretty good. Anything beyond that is kind of a bonus, but generally below 60 should be your target for him. And then finally, let's, since this wasn't a big wave, let's take a look at the weapons pack here. As we can see, that we had some sales in July that were in the very low range here, from around $13 up to about $18 for the most part. But since then, very few sales sub 18, right? So we just had one sale or so sub $18 since September 1st. Most of the weapons pack sales are around this $20 point. So I think that's probably your target. If you see one for a little bit less than 20 and you want to pick one up, that's probably pretty good. But it looks like, moving forward that, maybe $20 and up is what that weapons pack is probably going to be going for. So as far as the Hvalkatar Book 2 wave is concerned, a very similar story, at least for recent sales, that we saw for the Hvalkatar Book 1. Hvalkatar Book 1 had a very significant amount of significant price appreciation right when it was originally released, because there was a lot of hype behind the first wave of Cosmic Legions. That didn't happen with this wave, as you can see here, right? So when this was released in November, very few of these were selling for much above their retail price at that point either. But in general, still, similar sort of story. Over a year after release, widely available at many retailers, but you don't even need to pay retail price, right? To be honest, you should be shooting for probably that Four Horsemen pre-order price, right, of $37 for most of the standard figures. Canex Vol, I'm not sure. He was 65. I think he may have been 50 pre-order, maybe 48. I think maybe 50 though, maybe 55 pre-order. But again, somewhere in there, that's probably a pretty good price. And then Sligor, I think he was for 55 at a pre-order. And that's generally what you can probably find him for there. So again, if you haven't been into Cosmic Legions, you thought that maybe it would be too expensive, too onerous to go back and to get some of the older figures that were released in these first couple waves. These are all released at base, or they're all available, I should say, at basically retail or below, and a lot of times significantly below retail on the secondary market. It's never too late, or at least at this point, it's not too late to go back to get some of those older figures if you're interested in jumping into the Cosmic Legions line. So that's it for this update on Hvalkatar Book 2. And I will, thanks for watching this video, and like and subscribe and all that. As everybody always says, If you have any suggestions for me, please feel free to reach out at toylytics@gmail.com or any questions. I also changed my Instagram handle to be Toylytics now from my personal name that I used to have. So I'm hoping to post some more graphs and things, interesting results over the course of the year in between videos as we move forward. So, give me a follow on Instagram at Toylytics if you want to stay up to date on some of those more unique graphs and things that I'm able to show there. So, anyway, thanks again. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.